Come on, buddy. Get with the beat.
That's me?
You better believe it.
They do the bop bop. They do the bop bop.
1, 2, 3, 4. Keep it up.
They do the bop.
Now, let's go get that dino. Computer, what are you tracking?
Many creatures live here, both great and small.
Karibuni. I am Warden Wilson Mutua, and I am happy to welcome you to
WDW Radio, your information station.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the WDW Radio Show, your Walt Disney World information station. I am your host, Lou Mangello, and this is show number 271 for the week of April 22nd, 2012. So happy Earth Day and happy anniversary, Disney's Animal Kingdom. One of the things I enjoy sharing on the show are interviews with people whose work in the Disney parks you may enjoy, but whose names you may not know. From Imagineers to artists, performers, and more, each has their own journey and stories to share. And so this week, I want to introduce you to Casey Jones, a senior character artist for the Disney Design Group. A former comic book artist for Marvel, he now helps to create some of our favorite icons and merchandise in the parks and Disney Cruise Line. From Vinylmations and the Park Star series to the Muppets and the recent reintroduction of nostalgic items like the Little Orange Bird, Casey shares how these items came to be, from their concept to production, and then we'll also discuss Marvel, what's coming to Star Wars weekends, advice for others who want to do what Casey does, what we think or what we would like to see come next, including Avatar Land, food, and much more. I'll then have the answer and winner for last week's Walt Disney World Trivia Question of the Week and pose a new one for your chance to win a Disney prize package. I'll then play more of your voicemails at the end of the show, so sit back, relax, and enjoy this week's episode of the WDW Radio Show. Walt Disney World was born from and continues to thrive, change, and improve due to the time, talents, and inspiration of so many creative individuals. And for many of them, we don't know their names. And the designers, engineers, and everybody involved with the creation of so much that we enjoy are often, unfortunately, not known to us by name. So as part of an ongoing series on the show, I want to introduce you to someone who you may have heard of and probably, have a piece of his handiwork in your home, office, or maybe even in your backpack when you come to Walt Disney World. And he is Casey Jones, senior character artist over the Disney Design Group, not the railroad engineer from Disney's Brave Engineer cartoon from the 1950s, but equally as handsome, charismatic, and talented, I can assure you. Casey, welcome to the show.
Hey, Lou. Good to see you.
Good to see you, too. And first, I have to tell you that every time I come to your office and I look at your work, I go home and break my crayons because I realize how completely lack of talented I really am.
Oh, thanks, Lou. I appreciate it.
And we're going to talk about a lot of the stuff that you've done, because I think a lot of people may know you now from some of a specific product that you work on. But I want to talk more about some of the other stuff that you've done during your time at the company. Let's sort of sit back here. We're here at the lobby of the Wilderness Lodge, and talk a little bit about some of your early background. Let's sort of go back to, were you the kid drawing on the wall with crayons, much like I do at home, who always wanted to be the Disney artist?
Well, it's weird. I grew up here on the East Coast, and a lot of the people who work for the company did grow up, with that love of Disney. But, I was, in Virginia, so I was very far away from anything like CalArts or Disneyland in California. So, a lot of the guys from Southern California, did grow up. They wanted to get into Disney animation, and I worked for the company. But that was like another planet, from where I was. So my outlet to, anything creative was growing up reading comic books. So I grew up wanting to draw Spider-Man and working for Marvel Comics. And that was the route that I took as far as getting my career started. And, it's been, a cool journey. With...
Well, so, all right, so you're the kid who dreams about drawing comic books, which I think a lot of us were. And you said Spider-Man. You hit home with me, brother, because I'm a huge Spider-Man fan. How do you start sort of going down that path? Are you drawing at home? Do you start, in grammar school, high school, saying, this is what I want to do, Mom and Dad? I don't want to be a pharmacist. I want to draw comic books for a living.
Oh, no. That wouldn't cut it in my house. So it was very much just something I did for fun growing up. And, when I was about 14, I started going to a convention, a comic book convention. And I got to meet some of the artists there, and I would bring my crappy drawings each summer and show them around to those guys and try to get advice on how to improve. And when I was 17, this is 20 years ago, there was a writer who was, sitting with an artist that I was talking to, who pulled me over and put me to work, drawing one of his stories. So I did that, like right out of the gate when I was 17. And by the time I was 19, I was making a living working for Marvel Comics.
So, I mean, that's the sort of the prototypical Disney dream. You dream about working for Marvel Comics, and before you're able to drink, you're actually, and so are you working freelance, or do you move to where move to New York?
Yeah, it's all freelance comics. All the offices are in Manhattan, and when I started in the early 90s, I mean, everything was FedEx. You could pretty much live anywhere in the country and work for Marvel. And in the earlier days, it did help a lot to live in the city and be able to go into the offices. But by the time I started, you could work through FedEx, and it was pretty easy.
Well, we're going to come back to the Marvel relationship with Disney because I want to sort of get your take on it. But now that Marvel is part of Disney, what are some of the characters or comics that you worked on? And if you say Spider-Man, you're going to make this 7-year-old kid in a 43-year-old body very happy.
Well, I did draw some Spider-Man here and there. I drew a few different Spider-Man stories. Spidey was always my favorite character growing up because he was on the Electric Company when I was a child. And so that's where it all started. And but yeah, the Marvel stuff that I did, it was Fantastic Four.
Movie.
They made a movie. There was... a lot of the X-Men spin-off type books.
Movies.
Well, this was in the 90s when that was a distant dream, so...
But all the movies came from your work. Just take the credit for it.
Okay, all right, Lou. But yeah, books like Excalibur, X-Man, X-Men, Fantastic Four, some Avengers stuff. I bounced around all over the place.
Cool, yeah. Like I said, we're going to come back to that. But so how does it work that... eventually you come to Disney? Were you a Disney fan growing up too?
Yeah, always a Disney fan. My mom took me to see Pete's Dragon. I think that was probably my first movie experience when I was little. She took me to see Cinderella, which still, one of my favorites, and Jungle Book, which was out around that time too. But yeah, so I always, grew up, with an appreciation of it. But, it had no clue as, how to investigate, the company and how to work for it. But the way that that I started working with Disney was I had moved to Orlando with my wife after being in a studio with a bunch of other comic book artists in North Carolina, and moved to Orlando just if there was an off chance I had a day off, there was always something to do, So we did that, and there were a few other comic book artists that I was good friends with here in Orlando. And one of those guys, his roommate, started working for DDG. I think his father actually worked for WDI for many years too. So he was, close to the company already. And he was working for DDG, came in as an intern, and then, at one point, DDG was going to hire a character artist, and this was in the late 90s when Marvel was in the middle of a bankruptcy, and so it was not the happiest time to be a comic book artist with a family and bills to pay. So he just caught me on the right day, and to when they were going to hire somebody, and I was like, yes, that sounds wonderful. So I looked into it and gave him my portfolio, which I'd never really had a portfolio since I started drawing comics at such a young age. So I just, gave him a binder with just photocopies of all the pages from the comics I drew. And he was working for a guy named Mark Seppola at the time. And Mark looked at my stuff and brought me in and gave me a shot.
And the stuff that you had submitted was not Disney stuff. I mean, or were you starting? I mean, had you drawn any Disney characters up to that point?
No, I hadn't at that point. But one of my editors from Marvel had moved over to Penguin Putnam Publishing, and they were handling some of the publishing efforts from DreamWorks' Road to El Dorado feature. And he had gotten me involved with drawing some of that for Penguin Putnam, and that was my first exposure to, drawing characters from model sheets and, working in a similar way to doing the type of work that we do at Disney.
Because it's interesting, and this is part of the reason why I like having you and Mark and Brian Blackmore and Alex Mayer have been on the show, because all of your journeys to get to DDG, which is the Disney Design Group, have been very, very different. Some of these guys are the ones who sat there drawing 100, Mickey Mouses a day, practicing their craft, and that's what they were submitting. Was it very different for you drawing comic book characters to sort of taking a form that had to be so exact, like a classic character, where the character integrity is so very important to this company, and keeping it to, unlike drawing a Spider-Man or a X-Man?
Right. It is very different because everybody knows what Mickey Mouse looks like. And working for Marvel, if you're drawing Spider-Man, you're able to interpret Spider-Man any way you want. There's no house style anymore. There's no model sheets. And there's really no rules. So, it is a bit different with drawing the characters that, everybody that comes to Walt Disney World and Disneyland, feel like such a closeness to. So yeah, it is a bit different, but it's there's a lot of good people there at DDG just to sort of help you through it as far as getting acclimated to working that way.
So, like on day one, the first Monday you walk in the door, is it literally, all right, Casey, it's Mickey Mouse 101. We're going to teach you how to draw Mickey? They sent you to Animation Academy over at Hollywood Studios.
Yeah, maybe it should have been that way. But as it was, I think they just assumed I knew what I was doing and just told me to get to work. And that's what I did. I just pretended that I knew what I was doing, and it worked out.
When you first found out you got the job, did you find yourself, before you got here, saying, I better start practicing some Mickeys and some Goofies, at least sort of get the Fab Five down, or because I don't have that, I'm missing the creative DNA in my body, so I can't imagine coming from drawing Spider-Man to turning on a switch and now I'm drawing Mickey, or is it just that simple for you?
Well,
don't be modest. You could say, yeah, it's that simple for me.
Well, when you're drawing comics, you have to be able to draw anything, and if not, then you don't. You're going to go broke, it's great training to just to be able to be quick on your feet and learn, as fast as you can.
Did you go to art school at all?
No, I started when I was 17, so I just suffered my way through it.
Again, it's that different journey. You don't have to necessarily go to Cal Arts. It's nice, but you don't have to go to Cal Arts in order to get here.
Right? No, you don't. I mean, and that is, that's a scary part of this job, and it's a great part of this job where there aren't. There's no rule book to be an artist, but it's one of those things where if you're going to succeed, you just have to work. I'm a person that doesn't believe in talent. I'm a person that feels that it's all skills. Every kid draws when they're little, but at some point they get distracted by something more interesting. But artists that are more introverted, or I know some guys who got sick when they were a kid and just got couldn't leave their bed, and they just drew all the time. And that's those were where they put in all those hours. So to me, it's just work. It's if you're willing to put in the work to get to a professional level, then you can do it. There's no secret to it. There's no magic formula. It's just a matter of if you're willing to make it your priority.
And so do you remember what that first day was? Do you remember sort of what that first project was that you were given to work on? Was it a piece of merchandise or something for the parks?
This was in 2000 when I first started with DDG. And probably the first thing I remember doing was, I think it was like some Pirates of the Caribbean artwork for with the barker out front. I think it was some sort of Pirates thing, and then something for like Minnie with like the dance and cheer stuff that they do every year.
We keep sort of using this reference of DDG, and can you explain for people who maybe don't know what the Disney Design Group is and sort of the merchandise that comes out of there?
Yeah, sure. Disney Design Group is a small group of artists and designers based here in Orlando that do the artwork for theme park merchandise. So that involves hard lines, which is snow globes, toys, vinylmation, pins, to soft lines, which is all of the shirts, fleece, jackets. I mean, pretty much any merchandise that is available in the Florida parks or the Disneyland Resort comes through Florida, comes through Disney Design Group.
And it was cool because we just walked to the merchandise shop here like, that's me, that shirt's me, which is awesome. But and I want to talk about some of the merchandise that you've created over the years, as well as some of the things that you're working on now, too, that are pretty exciting. But you've also had some other roles in the company as well, and even sort of worked beyond the confines of Walt Disney World merchandise.
Yeah, that's true. I was, with DDG for about 3 years, from 2000 to 2002, and then my wife and I had our first child, and it became kind of tricky for us being in Florida when all the grandparents were up north, and with the sort of work that I've always done on a freelance basis, you can pretty much live anywhere and do it. So we made the decision to move back up to Virginia and let the grandparents get to be with the kids and just have all that support, with having a young family can bring. That was a hard decision, leaving Disney, because I loved it. I never had a problem. So I really thought I would retire there if I had the chance. So, but kids make you do crazy things, Lou. And so we moved to Virginia. We were up there until about 5 years ago. And at that point, after being back as a freelancer for so many years again, it's just a hard lifestyle, and it's just a very lonely, isolated lifestyle. And I missed it. I never got over working for Disney. It was the best time of my life. I never had so much fun because I got to interact with so many people, and it's all the people you've interviewed, and I've learned more from listening to them on your show than I ever have talking to them. But it's like you always talk about with the cast members that work here at Disney. It's the people that make the difference, and with DDG, that is absolutely the case. It's the best people you could ever imagine working with, and it's a nice little family there, and we made the decision again to move back to Florida, and if I ever had the opportunity to be back on staff again with DDG, then I wouldn't have to figure out, oh God, now I got to move, or now I got to sell a house. We just made the move, and then the recession happened, and then everything went out the window. So you never know what's going to happen. But yeah. So the answer to your question is that yes, I have done other stuff during those years as a freelancer. I was back working for Marvel Comics again, so I was drawing comics, and then a while after that, I started doing freelance jobs for DDG, and then I was doing freelance jobs for Imagineering. So I would juggle all three, and when you're a freelancer, you have to juggle anybody that calls your phone. So I never said no to any job, and so got to do a lot of fun stuff for WDI. While maintaining everything I was doing for Marvel and DDG.
What kind of stuff did you work on for Imagineering? Because it had to be very different than the character work that you were used to doing for DDG, and certainly for what you were doing for Marvel.
Yeah, some similar, some different. There was, I think, one of the first things I did was doing the Mickey for the new Studios logo when they changed from Disney MGM to Disney's Hollywood Studios. So I did that Mickey with the clapboard, and from there...
You say that so nonchalantly. Like, yeah, that Mickey that 30 million people a year see, that's me. Like, it's the icon of the park. It's on the water tower. Like, that's a big deal. Mark Seppel's probably going, hey, that should have been me. What?
Well, with Imagineering, it's... there's a lot of fingerprints on it, I mean, with DDG, you get so much work, and you just have to you control most of it. But Imagineering, everything has to get approved by so many different sets of eyes. So it's a big team there at Imagineering.
But you still drive by and you point to your daughter and say, "You see that? That's me."
Yeah, they get a kick out of that, so that is fun. But yeah, so I did that, and after that, a lot of the other stuff I did were for the new ships, for the Dream and the Fantasy. So, I got to design a lot of different things on the ships, and that was a lot of fun.
So some of the things that we were talking about for the Dream and the Fantasy, again, you're not designing the sign over the sink. You design some things that, again, everybody sees and everybody takes a picture with.
Well, a lot of it is the sign over the sink. It's you can't.
Not that there's anything wrong with the sign over the sink; those are beautiful too. But when you design the mini that's in the atrium, that's something to be proud of.
I had a hand in that, but for the atrium, for that mini. We tried a few different things. There was one, which is the Art Deco version that they have, and then we did another where she was in her standard costume with the Pie Eye Mini. But yeah, at least the actual dress and costuming and some of the base. But like I said, the Imagineering stuff, a lot of people get to play with it, and there's always lots of back and forth.
And you also said you did the scroll work in that sort of gold scroll work around the railings as well too. When you're given a task like that, do they say this is what we want it to be, or do they say this is the story we want to tell, this is the time period we're sort of looking for?
Well, they had done that previously on the first ships, I believe, and so this was kind of a continuation of that, and just all new character art. So I believe we just picked a ton of characters, a lot of specific activities that you get to do on the ships, like with Goofy playing golf, and things like that. So. We went, I just did a ton of roughs featuring a ton of characters, and then we finally picked, what was working and, ran with it. But yeah, that's in the atrium and on the balconies with those little relief sculpt pieces. But, that's very specific. That's you can't, I don't know.
You're being modest because you leave out things. So when you think of the Dream and Fantasy, especially when the Dream first came out, the one word that stuck in everybody's mind was aqueduct. Aqueduct. And that image and that logo is something that, like the studio's logo, is something that's very sort of pronounced in people's minds.
Yeah, it's very exciting. I'm a nerd for sure. So, I got a huge kick out of getting to do that, and when you do pieces for Imagineering, that's a really exciting part of it.
Do they come to you and say, Casey, we need a logo for the aqueduct? This is the thing that is going to make these ships distinguished from any other cruise ship out there. Again, do they give you some guidance, or they say aqueduct, Donald Duck, go?
Yeah, by the time it gets to me, they know what they want, they know what they need, and they just need, a character artist to handle the duties. So I would take it, and, sometimes, I would work from a sketch and just say, everything would be there for placement, and, I would do the final character art. So they were always different, but yeah, it's definitely cool. I love getting to do that stuff. It's a lot of fun.
And you also did on the stern of the ship, you worked on some of the characters that hang off the back of the ship as well.
Yeah, we did.
You can brag, Casey. It's okay. You should. You should be proud of this.
Well, that one in particular, I can't brag because they didn't pick my designs. Yeah, because originally we had Pete and Mickey with rivet guns doing rivets on the back of the ship, and then we changed that to them painting, just so it didn't look like they had machine guns or something, So, we had them painting the bag. And then, it was one of those things where it just went away for a while, and then it came back, and there was it was one of those situations where there was a sketch from one of the artists, I think in California, who had done the Sorcerer Mickey with the brooms from Sorcerer's Apprentice, and that was the concept. And then I did the final character art where I tightened it up and put it on model.
Was it an adjustment for you? Again, not coming from an artistic background, you had been drawing in 2 dimensions on flat surfaces forever. When you have to start sort of thinking about Minnie's dress in 3 dimensions, and Mickey would look like being viewed from all different angles, does that present a unique challenge for somebody who's used to drawing comic books?
Well, by the time I was doing this stuff for Imagineering, I'd had the experience at DDG, and a lot of what we do at DDG are designing sculptures. So all those turnaround drawings when you have to describe a sculpt, a bobblehead, a snow globe, an action figure in every possible view, that's great training. But when I drew comics, I always tried to, the whole key to drawing comics is to make them as dynamic as possible, and that's what I always, tried to explore, drawing comics, because, if the stuff is static and flat, then you're failing in comics, because you don't have any rules in comics where it has to be this way. It doesn't have to be flat like the Peanuts or a comic strip, where it's just basic storytelling. You can try to draw in 3D when you're drawing comics, and that's preferred, because it just pulls you into the story and helps bring everything to life. So, from drawing comics, probably great training for trying to think in 3D when you're designing sculpts.
And so you're doing comics, you're doing merchandise, again, everything from T-shirts that are still here years later at Wilderness Lodge to working on the cruise ships. But in 2008, and I think this is where a lot of people may know you from, something is introduced completely new, at least to Disney fans, and maybe people who may have been fans of Japanese vinyl figures may see the correlation. But when Vinylmation comes out, it creates... It's a phenomenon. Tell us about your involvement early on in Vinylmation.
Well, when I was freelancing, still at that time, Thomas Scott was made kind of like the lead designer of Vinylmation, where he was overseeing all the different series and things like that. And it's a small group, and that area of business was really growing fast. And Thomas and I always worked well together when I was on staff back in the day. So he gave me a call to see if I could do the Nightmare Before Christmas series, and I did that as a freelancer. And then we did Park Stars Series 1 right after that, and those were some of the very first Vinylmation I did was the Park Stars.
So how does that come to be? Because the Vinylmations themselves were sort of a big leap. Admittedly, Casey, when I first saw them, when they first came out, I'm like, what are these things? They don't look like Mickey. They don't look like characters. It's some sort of weird amalgamation of the two. Collectively, between my kids and myself, we probably have... we're helping to pay for your kids' education, put it that way. But no, we probably have 100 plus of these, because they are collectible, and there's the trading aspect and the sort of mystery, sort of the baseball card mystery of when you get them. And then this Park Stars series comes out, and not everybody may be familiar with what Park Stars is, because that's another leap beyond sort of the traditional 3-inch Vinylmation.
Right. Well, having the original 3-inch Mickey Mouse form as what they launched the Vinylmation brand with. The best part about Vinylmation is that you get to do a lot of different type of stuff. It's not just Mickey on everything. You get to do park stuff, and that's probably why you have over 100. Is because that's an area where you can do an Orange Bird piece and get away with it. Because if you're doing park series, annual pass type things, you can do stuff for everybody, and that's really what we were trying to do with Vinylmation, was to have something for everybody, and even those hardcore guests of the park that have been coming for years and years, and appreciate when we get to play with a lot of the old characters like that. So once the Vinylmation brand took hold and they were able to grow it, Thomas Scott, who's the brain behind all of that growth, the first thing he wanted to do was something like Park Stars, where it wasn't limited to one shape, just based on the vinyl business, outside of Disney, you don't limit yourself to just one form. So he fought, all the battles to make it happen, and just made the case for it to do Park Stars, and made it happen. So, with that, we're able to take an iconic Disney theme parks character and create their own special form, even though it's very stylized and a very graphic shape with to kind of fit the vinyl feel. It's nice because you get to make each one a little more special, a little more unique.
So, with the Vinylmation series, you did have the park series, and then you expanded to urban and animation and cutesers, and boy, sometimes I wish you guys would explain what those are, because I get very confused. But you see how popular, especially the park series is, and you are able to pay homage to extinct attractions and shows and characters, and you're nodding because I have always gotten a sense, whether it's you or Brian or Randy Noble, whoever it is, you're all fans first. So these are characters that I think you guys have a vested interest in wanting to see. Is that right?
Yeah. A lot of, what we do is, it's souvenir based, so, you want a first-time guest to Walt Disney World, to find, the perfect souvenir to take home to remember their trip by. But there are also those guests who, come a lot, and have been coming for years and years with their families, and have, 40 years worth of memories. So, and a lot of us that work, for DDG, a lot of the guys have been there for, years and years and years. So it's a great time, it's a great, platform for us to where you get to draw some of the characters that you would never get to draw, to get to draw, a Horizons Butler, that's the first time that's, happened in my career. So
now, does that come from you saying, man, I want to draw the Horizons Butler, or somebody saying, hey, we need to do a Horizons Butler for the people who love Horizons?
Well, a little bit of both, but the product developer for Vinylmation when I started was Donald Farrow, and he put a lot of trust in Thomas and the art team to work out, the strategy for, each series, and, what characters we're doing and why. So, when we did Park Stars, Thomas and I worked really closely together as far as like which characters we're picking, and he put a lot of trust in me as far as like what I thought would be really cool to do, and so we just suggested characters back and forth, but Horizon Butler was mine.
Was it coincidence or inspiration that a number of the characters actually seem to be ones that, and I have two of them. I have one that I take out on my shelf. I have one that's in the closet. The old PVC figures. So there's the pirate skeleton. There's the Yeti. There's the Tiki Room. We sort of inspired by those as a base, where he said, "All right, we've got the ability now to get really creative. Let's pull out the 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea squid as well." Or did you go back to some of those base characters that you knew everybody would sort of have a connection to?
Well, when when you're talking about the PVC figures, are they like the ones like sold in the parks where it's just like iconic characters?
Yeah, they come like 8 to a pack of PVC figures.
Gotcha. No, we didn't really start there. We just sort of made a list and went from there. But tried to give everybody their favorites. Haunted Mansion, Pirates, a Yeti. The great thing about Park Stars is we are only doing like specific to Imagineering type of characters. It's not Mickey and Disney characters like from film and television. It's theme park. Vinylmation started as a theme park exclusive brand. It was created, as you know, by DDG with Randy Noble, pressing to make that happen. So,
well, and it also, it's like I said, it's sort of interesting. We as adults sort of get the excitement from the baseball card collectability of not knowing what's in there. I'll tell you a funny story very quickly. When my son saw the Park Stars, he's a huge Figment fan. He wanted Figment. So I was literally sitting there shaking the boxes to try and feel who might be heavier, who might not. And he got Abraham Lincoln. And there was that second of, do I cry? And I was like, Nick, you got Abraham Lincoln. He's the rarest of all the Park Stars. And all of a sudden, he was about to give it back to me. And he's like, wait a minute, I got the rarest of all the Park Stars. But, now it's sort of that fun thing for him for going in and shaking the boxes and trying to see if he can find the Yeti. But I'll tell you that just like what you did with the regular Vinylmation series, you have these mystery figures as well. And because I raised my children right, he gets the Funmeister, and I'm like, sit down, son. I need to tell you the story about the days of Pleasure Island.
Right. Yeah, I'm awful at picking the characters in the blind boxes too. And I finally just broke down and bought a tray for the girls for Christmas because, there was some long trail of tears on the walk to the car a few times with when they got their Abraham Lincolns, But what was the question?
Sort of that idea of the mystery figures as well.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of people, I think, probably had no idea who's the moon face guy.
Yeah, I can't remember if that one was Thomas's or mine or Donald's. I don't remember whose idea that was. It probably was Thomas, I think. It could have been Thomas and Donald, but they were worried about that one. But, it was right after, there were so many changes with Pleasure Island, so we kind of looked at it as a tribute, and because a lot of us there have great memories of Pleasure Island. So and that's one of those things where, when do you get the chance to draw the Funmeister, So to be able to create a little totem, like that you can put on your shelf, I love it. I think it's just a ton of fun. But yeah, he was the mystery figure in Park Stars, not a chaser, since most cases only have one. For a normal Vinylmation series, typically there's two of every figure, but only one chaser. So he's more rare. But with Park Stars being a totally different product, we didn't want to drive people too crazy with trying to complete their set. So that's why if you just bought a tray, you'd get them all, and you wouldn't have to worry about it.
But that's the thing for us who are nostalgics, who do remember Horizons and 20,000 Leagues and Pleasure Island. This is our chance to get a piece of new merchandise with a character that we wouldn't be able to get otherwise.
Yeah, and I mean that's the greatest part about Park Stars is you get to have something like that, a tangible thing that you can take home that represents Horizons, and there's a lot more stuff like that to come in Series 2. So
you beat me to the punch. I was like, can I ask you if there's is the Park Star series is going to continue beyond?
Yeah, Park Star Series 2 is complete, and it should be out by the end of this year, 2012. If it doesn't, it'll be shortly after the new year, I would think, in 2013. But Thomas and I just unwrapped Series 2 in the office this evening, back from the factory where they've made the new vinyl molds. So we're really excited about Series 2.
You've got that look like it's so cool, but I just can't tell you what they are.
There are a few in there in Series 2 that are very specific to things that to things that I really like, and that's an awesome part of getting to work on those. But there are a few in there where I was really trying to hold back on spending the money on Series 1, but once I saw like the 3D render of the one that I like so much in Series 2, and I knew I was going to have that sitting on my shelf, but I knew Series 2 looked so good, in 3D, or the 3D sculpts, that I knew I was going to have to buy them. So that's why I went ahead and bought a tray of Series 1 to finish off my collection.
And your apparent love of kind of retro Disney World and very specific things goes beyond just the Vinylmation craze and the phenomenon that it is, because you also, like I said, you do a bunch of soft line merchandise as well, soft line T-shirts, and something that everybody has a connection to and always wants to get a new one of. There's been a great series of shirts that's coming out, and that has come out, not just about attractions. It didn't take very long to turn the conversation to food, but even food items. So there's turkey legs, and just today we saw some images on the Disney Parks blog about some other fan favorites as well.
Yeah, I mean the coolest part about working for DDG is just the diversity in the actual projects you get to do. So, I've done tons of Vinylmation, tons of pins over the years, action figures, I've designed, and now I'm working, like you were saying, in soft lines, doing T-shirt designs, and so we get to dip into all sorts of different areas with that business, and some of the most fun I've had is getting to develop all these new pieces for the Dole Whip shirt that's out, the Churros shirt that just came out, the turkey leg shirt that I just did. That's how this all happened. Was Doug Strayer at DDG had done the original turkey leg shirt that has been out for a year, and just did it as a goof, but he finally got it out there and found out that there were a lot of people that like to come to Disney World and buy something fun that is very much just park experience, what you do here. I doubt you would ever buy a 10-pound turkey leg and walk around with it if you're on the street in Chicago, but if you're on Main Street, go crazy, So
and buy a T-shirt representing your favorite snack item in the park.
Right. That's how they get to take it home. They get to have that memory with them. When they're watching football on Saturday. They took that turkey leg home. So that opened the door to what else is there that people love and associate with the Disney theme park experience. So that opened the door to Dole Whip doing churros and the new turkey leg shirt that just came out, which is just sort of a retro poster type of take on turkey legs, and that's been received well too. So it's been great.
And that retro feel, that retro style, really seems to have been embraced. Whether it's the churro shirt, the turkey leg shirt, your people mover shirt, your monorail shirt, people love that sense of nostalgia when it comes to the Disney parks.
Well, I hope so. If not, I'm going to have to go buy a bunch of shirts and make up for it. But no, it's, we have to have something for everybody. And, for fans of the park, who've been coming back, year after year, we've got to have something new and something they think is really cool and part of the park experience. So, when we got these going, I called on my buddy Richard Terpstra, and he had been doing a lot of really cool retro merchandise, and I brought him in and got him to do the Dole Whip and churros, and he just nailed it. It was exactly what we were looking for, and it's nice to bring in something like that and have it out in the park, and I'm glad that people seem excited about it.
Well, and that's the thing too, is that now in this social age, you're able to, you don't have to stand in the Emporium to see what people think about it. Disney Parks blog is posting us up there, and Stephen Miller does a great job of sort of sharing the new merchandise that's coming out. There's Twitter and Facebook. Do you sort of monitor that at all a little bit to see what that fan reaction is?
Well, yeah. I mean, Stephen does an awesome job with getting the word out there, and I mean, of course, there's so many blogs and so many people on Twitter. So yeah, it's all out there now. It's not the situation where you just show up at Walt Disney World in June and it's all fresh. It's not like you're seeing it for the first time. So it is something good to pay attention to, just to get the word out and make sure that people know what we're doing, and maybe they'll have something to look for when they get here.
And the other thing, too, that I like about that, and that I've always liked about the Vinylmations, this is one of the things I talked to Randy about, is that I always say, and I even said at the beginning, that for the most part, artists don't get a chance to sign their work. They're not necessarily acknowledged individually, but you do get to sign your vinyls. And for these kind of things, the Parks blog, they do talk about the individuals who are working on them. And you are out there sort of in the social space, and you do signings and things like that. Do you like being able to get that feedback and that appreciation directly from guests? Because now it's not just, hey, Disney, thanks for putting out the People Mover shirt. It's, Casey, I love your shirt.
Yeah, I mean, it's fun, when you go out to a signing and, you're just meeting like-minded people, because, I mean, my family and I spend all our time in the parks. We love the parks and just have a blast. So, the people who are into collecting, they're just like me. So I like to hear their feedback, and it's awesome if somebody likes something you do. That's always great.
And as a total nerd and child of the 80s and original Star Wars trilogy fan, it's been a great expansion of the marriage of Disney and Lucas and that Disney Star Wars franchise with Star Wars weekends, and some of that merchandise that's come out and certainly expanded greatly over the last couple of years.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's something I've been, really lucky with my background in drawing comic books. When I got to come into DDG, I ended up getting assigned some Lucasfilm properties with doing stuff for Indiana Jones and doing stuff for Star Wars. So, I mean, of course, that's fun. I did the action figures that are, I think they're out now with the Clone Wars versions of the Star Wars characters. Those just came out, and I worked with Monty Moldovan on the Muppets Star Wars action figures too. So there's all kinds of cool stuff that we get to do there.
Yeah, I did a video with Steven right around Christmas time where he was showing the prototypes. Big mistake showing it to my son. Big mistake. Although I did get him a Star Speeder, so I was like, Santa was the best Santa ever. So, but again, too, it's, your story is inspiring because you've gotten a chance to work. I mean, if you think about it, Casey, you've worked on some of the most iconic characters in pop culture history. You've worked on Spider-Man and Marvel characters. You've done Mickey and the Fab Five. You've worked on Muppets. And you've worked on Star Wars.
Yeah, don't worry. I've got really low self-esteem, so there's a lot of guys that get to work on all that stuff that are a lot better than me. So I don't.
Well, you're humble, but you should be proud because again, I think it's a testament to the quality of your work that you are entrusted to ensure the integrity of characters that are so heavily entrenched in our minds, in our memories, and pop cultures. And now you've got to bring them to life in completely new forms.
Yeah, it's awesome. I definitely enjoy it. It's a great job.
And while I would love to ask you about what's next, I know you're going to give me that look like it's really cool, Lou, but I just can't tell you. So what I do want to ask you is this, is part of having you come on is I want to share your story. I want to share your journey, and I want other people to become inspired by it, because those people who are listening, whether they're 8 or 18 or 28, who are saying, this is what I want to do, I would love to do this too, can hear the story of somebody who has done it and has taken a different path than other people. So what, if any, kind of advice would you give to somebody who is sitting home and has been drawing and this is what they want to do?
Well, I mean, you can definitely do it. I mean, there's no secret to it, and there's no trick. It's just putting in the work. You've got to work like crazy to get good enough to be on a professional level to where you can to get a lot of the really fun assignments like that. But it's like I said earlier, there's no secret to it. It's a skill. Drawing is just a skill, and if you if you're serious about it and you're dedicated, you can do it. If I can do it, anybody can do it. But you have to be a little crazy. You have to put it above everything else. I mean, when I've been doing this for almost 20 years now, and most of those years I work 100 hours a week. I mean, it's just all those hours, of just trying to get better and, just keeping at it. That's what'll pay off.
And the unfair question, of course, is, what's the favorite thing you've ever created, or what are you most proud of? And I won't ask that, but is there anything that you sort of look at or look up to or look back on or look on your shelf and say, this is what I want to be the Casey Jones legacy, or this is one of the things that, for one reason or other, I am really so proud of, or this are the things I want my daughters to look at and say, my dad did this?
Yeah, I don't know. I've gotten to do...
if you want to say it's the turkey leg T-shirt, you can say it.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think it's, whenever I get to do something, that something that's special to me, and the things that I like. It's awesome, getting to do Park Stars and getting to sneak in a robot butler. That's
Is he your favorite? Is he sort of your favorite of the Vinylmations? It's not like your children; they're not listening.
Yeah, no, well, so far there are new ones coming out that I like a lot too. But when you get to touch something like that, that is part of your childhood and stuff that it's not even around anymore. It's awesome. You get to really get to do a lot of things like that at Disney, where you everything you're excited about and makes you happy when you walk through the park. It's you can apply all that to your to when you go into work the next day. But yeah, when you walk around Epcot and get to just have so much fun with your family, and you just it becomes part of your life. You get to use that, and some of the most fun I've had. Like there was another one. Epcot is my favorite park by far, and Tapestry of Nations, my favorite thing that I think the parks have ever pulled off. I mean, I think it's just amazing. So there have been a few times where I've gotten to do pieces specific to Tapestry of Nations. There was a Vinylmation set that came out recently that's out, and there's been a few other things. So it's there's all sorts of stuff, and getting to do attractions that you love, like Haunted Mansion, Pirates, and things like that. There's so much.
And so quickly going back to the Star Wars characters and the Star Wars merchandise, one of the things I look forward to, and lots of people do obviously, is Star Wars weekends, not just for the events that take place, but for the merchandise as well. Can you give us a sort of a hint on maybe some of the things that either you've done or maybe we might be seeing going forward?
Yeah, I worked on the artwork for last year's Star Wars weekends that we did the poster for, and I guess it was like the main logo piece. That was me and another artist, Greg McCullough, who did all of the Photoshop rendering. This year, the piece for Star Wars weekends is Donald as Darth Maul, and that's a piece that very excited about, because I brought in Tim Townsend, who's a friend of mine from comics, who's been inking like X-Men and stuff for Marvel for 20 years. So he did all the inkings for the Star Wars weekend stuff, and a colorist who used to color me on Spider-Man and Fantastic Four, Danimation, did the colors, and the stuff looks really sharp. So it's really cool. But yeah, when Star Wars Weekends starts this year, I think it's May 18th. We're going to do a signing in the parks that weekend, and then a later weekend in June. But they put it on a few really cool pieces, and there's a lot of great stuff this year. It should be a lot of fun.
And so I have to ask you, with your background as a Marvel artist and your work for Disney, what were your thoughts when you heard about the Disney acquisition of Marvel, which admittedly for a lot of us seemed to come out of left field, and what do you think about it sort of going forward?
Well, yeah, I was definitely surprised. Didn't see it coming, but it did make perfect sense where we have Princess, and we have so many bases covered as far as having something for everybody, with a family, but we didn't really have boys, and that's something we had talked about for a while. So when Disney bought Marvel, it did make perfect sense, and honestly, it's super exciting, mainly just because love Marvel, have a lot of affinity towards Marvel, and with everything they've been through over the past 10 years, up to that point, it's nice because they never had that parent company to kind of shelter them, against any of the stuff you've read about as far as people like trying to buy them previously or different things like that. But so to know that Marvel is with Disney now, it ensures that it's never going to be split up. It's never going to be destroyed. It's always going to be around. I think it's going to be great. And how it's going to look in the parks in the future, no idea, but at least that potential is there, and it's something everybody's excited about.
Well, it's an exciting time. I mean, you've got sort of another Spider-Man movie coming out. Everybody is stoked for the Avengers and everything else that's going to come from that. So, and the idea of this marriage of Disney and Marvel, as the little boy who grew up, wishing he was Peter Parker and loving Disney the way he did, you wonder what that relationship's going to be like in the future.
Yes, I wonder. Yeah, I have no idea. It's still, even though it's been, a few years, it's still very early as far as like how it's all going to work.
Well, I think a lot of Marvel fans are also Disney fans. A lot of Disney fans are also Marvel fans. It's just like the Muppets and George Lucas. It's one of those things that makes sense. Yeah,
absolutely.
All right, so here comes the softball questions. These are the real softballs.
All right.
Favorite Walt Disney World theme park attraction?
The answer is the Twilight Zone Tower of Terror here in Florida. I think that's the greatest attraction in Florida. But Spaceship Earth in a different way is probably my favorite.
Well, here you go. Favorite Spaceship Earth narrator?
Jeremy Irons.
Nice. Favorite Walt Disney World resort?
Polynesian, but big fan of the Wilderness Lodge too, Lou.
Look at you pulling a Lou and throwing a bonus one in there every time as well. Mm-hmm. Do you have a favorite Disney character?
I don't know if I have a favorite Disney character. Favorite Disney movie is The Jungle Book.
Nice.
Also Sleeping Beauty. But if I have if I had to pick a character, it is Maleficent.
If you would have said Orange Bird, I would have hugged you. Favorite Sherman Brothers song?
Favorite Sherman Brothers song is One Little Spark.
Nice.
Duh.
And the most important question of all, favorite Walt Disney World restaurant?
Oh, Lou. It's hard, Lou, because that's my favorite thing to do. You might cut some of this out.
We just ate at Artist Point, so if you want to say Artist Point, I'm totally down with that because the buffalo was awesome.
Kona Cafe is one of my all-time favorites. I love it. I'm a huge fan of Epcot, so I love all the restaurants in Epcot. But I mean, we go to the resorts all the time, and it's really what's your favorite? If
you're so non-committal. Tonga Toaster Samoan.
Oh, Samoan! Nice. Oh my Lord!
Nice.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you. What is your favorite restaurant?
Wait a minute, Dole Whip or Citrus Swirl?
Dole Whip.
Have you had the new one? Have you had the new Citrus Swirl yet? We got to hit the Magic Kingdom.
Okay.
Citrus Swirl, Tiki Room, Sherman Brothers, all good stuff. Casey Jones, senior character artist from the Disney Design Group. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. This has been great to sort of hear your story, hear your journey, and to share some of the things that you've worked on. Hopefully it's inspired other people as well. And hopefully they'll come out and they'll meet you during Star Wars weekends. We'll definitely make sure we plug it as we get closer.
Hey, Lou, I'm not done talking. So what are you most looking forward to in the parks in the next 5 years? What do you want?
What am I most... Well, that's two different questions.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm most looking forward to are the things I don't know about yet. I have implicit trust. Don't shake your head, because I don't know. I am... Look, I'm certainly looking forward to, on a short-term basis, the expansion of the Seven Dwarfs Mine Coaster. Very much looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to Cars Land out in Disneyland. Really looking forward to heading out there this summer and checking that out. But I am excited about the things I don't know about. I'm excited about where Marvel may potentially go in the parks, how and in merchandise. You know, Spider-Man Vinylmation, I'm online now. You know, things like Avatar. You know, there's a lot of discussion and debate about Avatar. I envision in my mind Pandora at night. That for me, and where the technology is going. I think that's what I'm looking forward to most. How the technology, the interactive, personalized experiences that are going to come. That's my answer. The interactive, personalized experiences that are hopefully, that I would expect to come to the parks in the next couple of years.
All right. That's corny, Lou. Now, the right answer is Jim Cameron. To me, that's the biggest news that I've ever heard, and that's what I'm most excited about. Just to see what in the world is going to happen when it comes to bringing some of his ideas into the parks is going to be amazing. And it's one of those things where for nerds like us who grew up with Epcot Center. That was all about all these different visions from all these different futurists, and Jim Cameron is like the futurist of our time. So I am just over the moon just to see what.
And he's a great storyteller.
Absolutely. I don't want this to just turn into a Jim Cameron podcast, but just like Walt. Every movie he ever made, he bet his whole reputation on it and his livelihood. So, he took, all kinds of chances and with every project he took on. So, but everything he's into, all the Mars stuff that he developed a few years ago, before Avatar. All the ideas he could bring to Epcot, Tomorrowland. I think it's a really exciting time for the company, just with everything that's going on that we know about, and then everything like that, just all the potential that's out there. There's a lot of great stuff, and it's an exciting time to be here.
I'm with you. I'm positive in that sense, in that I trust not only the company, but who they partner with. Somebody like a Jim Cameron, whose track record, it's not the worst in the world. He's got the Titanic thing, the Avatar thing. He's doing okay for himself. So when I said that, what I don't know about in the future is what I was referring to, because I think Avatar Land is more than a land based on the film. It's Pandora. It's what Jim Cameron's going to bring. It's that storytelling. It's that technology. It's another one of those partnerships that, again.
Yeah, when you partner somebody like that with, all the people that you do know about, in Imagineering, and all the talent there, all the talent with all of his people, putting those teams together, man, it's going to be awesome.
I agree. You're right. It's an exciting time to be a Disney fan. It's an exciting time to be a theme park fan. Certainly an exciting time to be a merchandise fan. We browsed through the store downstairs. I need to go do some shopping. Casey Jones. Now we're done.
Lou, we didn't even get to talk about Beaver Tails yet.
Oh,
so
see, now all of a sudden you're coming out of your shell. You want to start talking about Beaver Tails.
Well, yeah, I've already ruined it by this point, so it doesn't matter now.
When you start talking about handwiches and things like that, after we need a handwich T-shirt.
Yeah, what's your what are the things you miss the most in the parks right now? Because I really miss those beaver tails, Lou, and oh man, the fresh crepes in France at Epcot. You know what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm. So you asked me about things I missed, and you mentioned 2 food items. You didn't even mention. You could care less about 20,000 Leagues or Horizons or the Skyway buckets.
These are the little things.
The little thing I missed. I can't think of anything food related that I'm missing because they always replace it. You know, you lose the sandwich, but you get chicken and waffles. You lose the beaver tail, but you get gourmet hot dogs.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. All right. Well, forget that one. All right. So now listen, I've been listening to your show for 5-7 years. And
I'm sorry.
So listen, if you could go back in time, interview anybody associated with the company, who would you, other than Walt and his brother Roy, who would you most want to interview?
Somebody that I've never interviewed before?
Yeah, like Annette or, Roy E. Disney, or is there an Imagineer, or no, Guy Williams? All right, who?
Michael Eisner.
Oh, is that right? Well, you can still do that.
I say Michael Eisner because I think that Michael Eisner, it's always easy to remember the bad stuff somebody does. I think a lot of people don't remember what Michael Eisner did for this company in the time that he was here. The resorts, the parks, the expansion, the growth, all that is attributable to, and obviously Frank Wells too, but, Michael Eisner. So, yeah, at the end, after, the post-Frank Wells era, were some decisions made that maybe started sort of going off. Absolutely. I want to talk to Michael Eisner about the good stuff that he did while he was here.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, I started, like we were talking about in 2000, and Michael was still with the company then, and I've read all the books, and know the history and know what he pulled off in the shape that we were in the late '80s, and I'm with you. I mean, he really he did a lot of good, and some questionable things later on towards the end, but I think everybody has a lot of respect for him. So
I'd like to hear Michael Eisner tell his story in his own words about all that good stuff that came from when he was here.
Sure.
So Michael, if you're listening, let's sit down. I'll get a beaver tail and we'll sit down and chat.
All right, cool. Not a net?
Not a net.
Really?
Not a net.
Okay. All right. I'll
Helen Reddy.
Oh, yeah?
Helen Reddy. Pete's Dragon, Helen Reddy. There you go.
What about Mickey Rooney? Have you ever met him?
I haven't.
Really?
And I'd like to because we're probably about the same height.
It's time for the Walt Disney World Trivia Question of the Week, where I'll pose a question about Walt Disney World history, a current or former attraction or show, maybe play a sound clip or ask where in the world you may have heard a line from a specific attraction or show. Last week, I asked you about a Tokyo Disneyland attraction that was originally planned for inclusion in Japan at World Showcase in honor of our review of the Katsura Garden Grill, my favorite counter-service restaurant in all of World Showcase. And so the attraction that was originally planned for Japan in World Showcase, but eventually went to Tokyo Disneyland, wasn't the Mount Fuji roller coaster. Instead, it was Meet the World, which was sort of a carousel of progress type attraction, which was featured in Tokyo Disneyland until June 2003. The 19-minute show really focused on the history of Japan and its opening up to the outside world, and it was led by an animated crane explaining Japanese history to a young boy and young girl from Yokohama. The show featured a number of audio animatronic characters and a projected movie screen behind them, and was similar to Carousel of Progress, but opposite, in where Carousel of Progress in Walt Disney World, the audience sits in the rotating theater and the stages are in the center, whereas in Tokyo Disneyland, the audience sat in the rotating theater inside and the stages were built around them. Also of note, the Meet the World theme song was written by the legendary Sherman brothers, Richard and Robert Sherman. And so before I announce the winner, I want to thank all of you who entered this week. Literally hundreds of you got this answer correct. Congratulations. Thank you for playing. We put all the correct answers into a randomizer, and this week's winner of all 6 of my audio walking tours on CD, Main Street, Adventureland, Fantasyland, Mickey's Toontown Fair, rest in peace, Fantasyland, Frontierland, and Liberty Square, a limited edition WDW Radio 5-year anniversary pin, and the Kingdom Keepers 5 book, hardcover, signed by author Ridley Pearson. Don't forget about our live chat on Monday, April 23rd, is Brenda Browning. So Brenda, congratulations. Please email me your address. I'll get your prize package out to you right away. Again, thanks to everybody who played, and if you didn't win, that's okay, because here is this week's Walt Disney World Trivia Question of the Week. And now, in honor of the Orange Bird's return, and I invite you to please come by, watch my video from the D23 event over at wdwradio.com/orangebird, or look for the link in this week's show notes or on the site. Let's see how well you know or remember our little orange friend, because here is a simple question for you for this week's trivia question. The orange bird cannot speak. So how does he communicate? How does the orange bird communicate? Email your answers to contest@wdwradio.com by 11:59 p.m. on Sunday, April 29th. And again, we'll take all the correct answers, put them in the randomizer, and this week you have a chance to win all 6 of the CDs, the anniversary pin, and, in honor of the Orange Bird, an Orange Bird Sipper Cup from the Sunshine Tree Terrace. Again, 11:59 p.m. Eastern, Sunday, April 29th, to contest@wdwradio.com. Just tell me, how does the Orange Bird communicate for a chance to win? Good luck, and have fun. That's going to do it for this week's show. Thanks again for taking the time and tuning in this and every week. The show ran long, so just a couple of quick reminders and important announcements. First, I mentioned on last week's show our first annual WDW Radio e-ticket event on Friday, September 28th, 2012. It's going to be an evening with the Secret Society of Historical American Adventurers. So if you like the Adventurers Club and our event there, you're going to love this. We've rented out the American Adventure Pavilion for an Adventurers Club type show that you have never seen before. The preservation of the Secret Society of Historical American Adventurers, or the Pasha Club, is going to be dressed in their best time period reenactment garb. They're going to have some dedications to great American adventures before them. They're going to put on a show. There'll be music, of course, a hoopla at the end, and lots more. For more information, you can visit our events page over at wdwradio.com, but you're going to want to tune in to WDW Radio Live starting at 7:30 p.m. Eastern this Wednesday, and we're going to announce exactly when tickets are going to go on sale, and you can find out how you can get a first crack at them before anybody else by booking your room as part of the Mouse Fan Travel Group. Again, all the information will be on our events page. Also, stay tuned for more information about what we have planned in 2013 and a survey where you can help decide where we're going to go land, sea, and world. Speaking of sea, don't forget about our cruise in November with Richard Sherman on the Disney Dream. We're inviting you to send in your cruise-related questions, whether it's about Disney cruising in general, our cruise in the Dream with Richard Sherman, whatever it may be. Send your questions by Friday, April 27th at lou@wdwradio.com. We'll have a cruise prep show coming up very, very soon. Don't forget, too, if you want to join us on the cruise, Mouse Fan Travel still has great rates and stateroom options available. You can find out more, get a no-obligation quote over at wdwradiocruise.com. Also, be sure and come by the site over at wdwradio.com. Have a lot more going on there, including conversations about the podcast, but daily blog posts, including a new contest, Our Home Went Disney, on the blog. See where you may be incorporating Disney into your home. Share your photos for a chance to win a prize package. Don't forget, I also love hearing from you. Call the voicemail at 407-900-9391 to be heard on the air, or email me at lou@wdwradio.com. Tune in this and every Wednesday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern, for our live video broadcast and chat. We'll talk about this week's Walt Disney World news, normally from the parks. And stay tuned. Next Wednesday, May 2nd, we have a very special show and guest. Brian Blackmore from the Disney Design Group is going to join us live and teach you, and hopefully me, how to draw Mickey. So that'll be on Wednesday, May 2nd, starting at 7:30. Again, for more information, visit wdwradiolive.com. Quick thanks to everybody who came by the meet of the month in Walt Disney World today over at the Dawa Bar in Disney's Animal Kingdom. Had a great time celebrating Earth Day, Animal Kingdom's anniversary, getting to make and meet some great new friends. Also, thanks to everybody who signed up to be part of the WDW Radio running team. Had a ton of new signups over the last couple of weeks. Thank you and congratulations for committing to join the running team to do your marathon event or events and helping to raise money for the Dream Team Project and the Make-A-Wish Foundation of America. To that end, I just came back from San Diego where I was privileged to speak at the National Convention. I was there for and because of and representing all of you and the work that you guys have done to raise more than $200,000 for the Make-A-Wish Foundation of America over the past few years. So thank you again for all that. Speaking of thanks again to my partners and sponsors. Of course, you know, Mouse Fan Travel. Whether you're coming on the cruise, coming to the event, or want to go to Disney World, Disneyland, maybe another Adventures by Disney in our future. Again, stay tuned for our survey. Who knows, maybe even Aulani in Hawaii. Mouse Fan Travel has the best possible prices, all available discounts, an incredible level of personal service, all at no cost to you. Visit them over at mousefantravel.com. When you're coming to Walt Disney World, maybe you want to get something a little bit bigger. Maybe you want your own pool, your own kitchen, your own spa or game room. All-Star Vacation Homes has everything from 2-bedroom condos up to 7-bedroom homes. You can bring the whole extended family. Visit them over at allstarvacationhomes.com. And if you want to stay right in the heart of Walt Disney World, and like me, go eat in the heart of Walt Disney World, I love the Swan and Dolphin. I love Blue Zoo, Il Molino, Shula's, best steak on property, and of course, the Westin Heavenly Beds, the most comfortable beds, I think. You can visit them over at swananddolphin.com or click on the link to any of those right on the WDW Radio homepage. And of course, don't forget Celebrations Magazine is now gone digital. You can get all the issues on your iPhone, iPod Touch, and or iPad. Visit wdwradio.com/celebrations. That'll take you to the iTunes store where you can download the app for free and then purchase or subscribe for individual issues. That is going to do it. I know I forgot something because I have so much going on, so much that I'm excited to start sharing with you that I've been working on over the past few weeks and actually months. But as always, my friends, and you are my friends, and you prove it to me every single day at the meet, with your tweets, with your emails, and so much more. All I ask is that if you like the show, please help spread the word. Let others know about it. Tweet out that you're listening. Share links on Facebook or Pinterest or Google Plus or on other discussion forums. And please come by, rate and review the show. Very much appreciated over in iTunes as well. And finally, and most importantly, thank you sincerely again to each and every one of you for taking the time not only to tune in each and every week, but more importantly, for allowing me to share my passion for Disney with you through the show and so many other ways. And please remember that you can do it too. And anything can be accomplished and overcome with the right amount of work and a whole lot of love. So until next week, I hope you guys have a great week this week. See ya.
Hi, Lou. This is Brian from Philadelphia, and I just heard the show of the top 10 wow moments, and I think one of my wow moments is every time I get ready to leave Walt Disney World, and they weigh my suitcases, and I realize just how many quote-unquote collectibles I just bought. Actually, I'm just kidding. A lot of the wow moments you had are probably my top wow moments, but I think another great wow moment is the climax to Fantasmic. The spectacle of the dragon, the lake on fire, and then especially the boat with all of the Disney characters on it. And if you have kids, sometimes it's hard to find characters in the parks and things that they want to see. And if you get to the end of that show, you are guaranteed to see at least some of the characters they've been looking for throughout the park. And I know they always get real excited to see some of the more obscure ones, and some of the ones that I don't think actually are in the park. So I think that's another great wow moment. I enjoyed the show and look forward to hearing more.
Hi, Lou. It's Darlene from West Seneca, New York. Lucy Lou. I just wanted to say thank you so very much for keeping me company on my road trip alone back from Wisconsin. I am driving back to West Seneca, New York by myself, and I am thankful to have all your shows to listen to on the way. It's a beautiful day on the road. It's 57 degrees and sunny, so this makes it so much easier to do the drive. Looking forward to our trip to WDW in November on the 15th and 20th, and I'm in a countdown, so I am so excited. have a great day and magical one, and stay safe, everybody. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
You've got a friend.